Interesting.
Yeah, so big changes there. But what we want to talk about too today, just to give like kind of a high overview, because if this is all new to you in some way, shape, or form, or maybe you don't do a lot of lending in flood zones, we should talk about it,
Sure.
because there is a form, as most things in mortgage, there is a form, the standard flood hazard determination form. I'm not going to go through it all. This information, odds are good, you have a system, right? That's going to pull all this information for you. We used CoreLogic at literally every company I've ever worked for. I don't know if there's another one, to be honest.
Yeah, there are others that'll do it, but yeah.
They're kind of leading the industry at any rate. It's going to pull all that for you. The one thing that you need to pay attention to, because this is going to be the determination for you, is the flood zone. I put them all on a list for you. Again, not going to read through all these things, but those high-risk flood zone, that's where you're going to require insurance.
So this is a code that'll show up for you?
It's a code that's going to show up for you on that sheet. The moderate risk, low risk, you're not going to need insurance. You can get insurance. You're not going to need, especially the low risk. The unknown flood hazard area zone, Zone D. There's, I don't know that it's a requirement, but every lender I've ever worked for, they have you sign a form that says, we don't know.
Oh, interesting.
We don't know, because it's not mapped. So they don't know the risk. They don't know the rating. They don't require insurance, which is really, well, they can require insurance. A lot don't. Fannie and Freddie don't require it. So most lenders, if you want to lose business, that's how you do it. Forcing insurance on somebody is a really good way to drive that away. But you're usually having them sign a waiver that says, we don't know, it's use at your own risk kind of situation. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
They're rare though. Every time I saw one, I was like, what is this? And I always had to go look at the guidelines. You just don't remember. Yeah. Because you see X constantly, you see A constantly, A and E, because those are high risk. I was looking at a map of where we sit here in this building. We're near a flood zone, but it's the river.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have the Columbia right outside.
Which has flooded.
Yeah. But we do have dams and levees, and those areas are also marked. And I implore you, go look at FEMA, because they show you all this stuff. You can see in blue very clearly floods A and E. Something to note, though, is that if any portion of that property, of the structure on the property touches that, you need insurance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it's only on the anything that's being considered in the value for the loan. So, like, if you have a barn or a shed out they don't care.
Gotcha.
We don't care, because that's not our liability. As a lender, if something happens to it,
we didn't count it anyway, so it's fine.
We didn't. Yeah, it might show up on the appraisal, but if you have a mother-in-law or something to that effect, you might be looking at flood insurance. So look at your maps. Look at it, and if you're not clear, you get your little flood zone, and it's like, it's in a flood zone. Pull up FEMA. Look at it. Explain it to your borrower why they're going to need insurance, and hopefully their realtor, if it's a new purchase, is also savvy and looked at this stuff so that they could have warned them, this is going to cost you more money because of the risk involved. I have a friend in Portland, just in the middle of a neighborhood. He was putting a basement in his house, so he's got it all up on stilts and all this stuff. He's like, if you want to go down there, he's like, you can open a little door and there's a creek bed.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, and in the winter there's water down there.
Oh my gosh, that's
you're just
crazy.
They just slammed this house in the 70s. They're like, that creek's not a problem. They just set a house on top of it.
Oh my gosh.
That's a flood zone.
Yeah.
Because if that creek ever gets, above the 2 or 3 feet that they've allowed
swimming
for it, his basement's going to be flooded.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's so unexpected because, you can tell because you're driving down the road, you're like, it dips a little bit here.
you don't assume
Weird.
it's a creek, though.
You don't, because there's nothing there to suggest that it would be.
Right.
So again, flood maps I think they're fascinating to look at and get to know your area. Again, I was looking at my grandparents' flood area, everything. Except for right where they are.
Yeah.
And my grandma's always talking, we're due for a big flood. We're going to get that flood. And I'm like, oh gosh, Grandma, you're so pessimistic. But then I look at it, I'm like,
no, you're definitely getting a flood.
You could get a pretty good sized flood one day.